Yeah, I'm wearing my old school jacket. We live, everybody. What's up? Mary Kay. What's up, my people in the chat room? How's it going out there? Jimmy, what's up? What's up? What's up? Hope everybody is well. We chilling over here. I just left the post office. I hope everybody's doing well for the New Year's. Higher frequency, great day to you. Well, just out there, and much needed changes, I think. Fucking Meryl's gonna. Wait for a couple of people to join, more people to join before I start. This is going to be an even larger topic that I'm going to be discussing later. Very interesting discussion. Happy New Year, everybody out there that's joining. And of course, my name is Ra. This is Exploring the Ka. My YouTube channel, you can find me also at the mysticalspiralstore.com, themysticalspiral.com, and on Truth Frequency Radio on Saturday nights from 7 to 9 Eastern. And today we're going to be discussing a topic that I'm going to go into much deeper later on. And I thought it would be interesting to bring it up real quick to discuss what, in fact, we have written in front of us in some of these ancient, not just the Bible, but a lot of the writings that come out of even the Book of Mormon, which is more recent, right? Joseph Smith, for those that don't know, the Mormons is the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And Joseph Smith was basically their prophet, I guess you can say, right? And he was one of several of Mormon prophets. And Joseph Smith lived from the beginning of the 1800s to about 1844 or something around there. And he was the founding prophet of this church. And to sum it all up real quick, to the juice of it, is that Joseph Smith was claimed to have contact with an angel. He called him Moroni. And supposedly he received a special box that contained certain metal, golden Thummim or something like that, and an Urim, and a breastplate from this angel Moroni, who most likely is a Grigori or some sort of rebellious angel or some sort of watcher, right? Could have been a hybrid Nephilim. Who knows exactly, right, what he experienced. I'm just speculating from what it seems like to me. But supposedly Angel Moroni was the last of his people, the last survivor of the Nephites. The Nephites were a civilization that existed around the turn of the century, I guess, around right prior to the birth of Christ and after the birth of Christ. And supposedly around, I guess, around the year 400 AD, supposedly, right before he died, he buried these plates. And he buried them in upstate New York, on September 22nd, 1827, is and Joseph Smith was the one who got these, right? Who found these on this date and translated these plates through what he calls divine means. And in several years later, I think 3 or 4 years after that is when he first published his book, the Book of Mormon. Now, according to him, the plates had specific sections that related to the Bible, that were like the Bible, and also had basically not just like sections from the Bible, but it had all sorts of histories and the downfall of civilizations, and there were certain peoples that they're talking about who migrated from the Middle East to the Americas, right? And there was three peoples that they talk about in here, and the three main peoples that they talk about that are basically in the Book of Mormon. One of them is the Jaredites, and the Jaredites is in the Book of Ether as well, and within the Book of Mormon. And the Jaredites lived, I guess, around 3000 BC or something like that, or even, I don't know the exact time period, but I know they were talking about it, that it relates to the time where in Genesis 11 we have the Great Tower, right? So this is the time of the Jaredites. Now, the Jaredites, specifically in their first book, which is right here, I have it right here in front of me, the Book of Mormon, the first book of Nephi, at the beginning, is where they have some very interesting thing that I would like to discuss and bring up, and it's in the first book of Nephi here, and they talk about it in various places that are pretty remarkable what they're talking about, especially when they're talking about the quote-unquote barges of the Jaredites. And these barges seem to be not only that they can float on water, but they can go into the heavens, and they can go into the sea, the depths of the sea, right? So, and they have specific crystals on them that shine in the dark, shine when their heat experienced high heat, and they show people where to go within the water depths. And this is pretty interesting, because when they talk about these Jaredite barges, that they were lit by stones that were molten out of rock, that were white and clear, that were transparent, like transparent glass, which we're talking about crystals here, right? And these stones were carried by the brother of Jared, the Jaredites, to the top of a peak called Mount Shalem. And at this peak that they call Mount Shalem, this is where they talk about that these specific transparent stones were touched by the finger of the Lord, right? And they talk about that they may shine forth in the darkness. This is in Ether, or Ether 3:1-4-6. And it talks about this, that these stones are very comparable to the ancient tradition of what they would call of the pyrophilus. These are basically called friend of fire, and they talk about a transparent crystal that was formed from certain stones, which gave off light when submitted to intense heat. And the very purpose of these stones was to guide people that possessed them through the water depths. Right? Now, this is very interesting, because we also have the ancient Hebrew area. We have the moon god Sin. And the moon god Sin had something called the Magur boat. Magur. Magur. This Magur boat of the moon god is talked about as being present during these flood type scenarios, right? The flood narratives that we have in all of these different civilizations and religions. We see this moon god Sin having this Magra boat that appears during these floods as a brightly lit, crescent shaped boat traveling through the midst of heaven for 12 months. 12 months, right? Now that is pretty intense. Pretty damn intense, this moon god Sin. Now this is separate from the Book of Mormon, of course, but it's very similar. And this is very similar to what we have as in Marvel with the Moon Knight. The Moon Knight has this crescent-shaped craft, right? And so that's straight from the moon god Sin, right? The moon god Sin is talked about during the flood having this brightly lit crescent-shaped craft boat that travels through the midst of heaven for 12 freaking months. So we're going to be talking about these specific crystal technologies that we find on various ancient technologies that are on these that these civilizations had. And we're going to be talking about this later on and also on my Patreon. I figured I would share it a little bit with you guys here today. Thank you for joining me, and Spiral out.